The late 60s in the United States were an era of peace, love and social revolution with a distinctive soundtrack, rock and roll. The publication that best reflected the times and sometimes set the agenda was Rolling Stone. Baron Wolman was the magazine's first official photographer, and he's in Australia to launch an exhibition and book of the Rolling Stone years. Here's Tracy Bowden.
Jimi Hendrix came to town, and at the time, I hadn't seen him perform. I didn't realize what a great performer he was.
In the late 1960s, Baron Wolman took what would become one of his most famous pictures.
People talk about being in the zone, that creative zone, and they started playing, and I started watching him, and Jimmy's movements were phenomenal.
Baron Wolman was 30 and an established photojournalist when he joined a groundbreaking new magazine called Rolling Stone.
I always told people I saw the music, I didn't hear it. I mean, how they were moving on stage was what I was looking at to see if I could get a photo that would show our readers what it was like to have been at that concert. You have to remember, nobody was doing this. There was no MTV. Television wasn't covering rock and roll, you know. There was no internet. So it was us, it was me, with those single photographs trying to communicate to our readers.
Launched in 1967, Rolling Stone began as a street magazine about music, but went on to broaden its horizons to culture, politics and much more. For 3 years, with the kind of access today's photographers only dream about, Baron Wolman documented the wild ride of rock and roll royalty.
When I take pictures, you know, for me the world is totally chaotic, filled with noise. But when I lift up the camera and look through the viewfinder and isolate a moment that's important to me, everything quiets down and the world makes sense.
I was born in a crossfire hurricane.
Over the years, Mick Jagger has made multiple appearances in the magazine. These photos were the result of a chance encounter in London.
If you look at that photo, his lips, he must have had lipstick on because they were, you know, his lips anyhow are like his signature, like his brand. And in that picture, they just jump right out at you, you know, and you realize that where that Rolling Stone lips brand comes from.
The photographer's first live concert assignment exposed him to the antics of The Who's Pete Townsend.
I didn't realize that part of the deal was that he was going to break up his guitar, you know? And when it happened, I was terrified because I couldn't understand how he would ruin the thing that was his vehicle for his music as an artist. Old Janis. Janis was, I really enjoyed photographing Janis. She was so unique, you know, I mean, she was a bundle of energy, but she was a sad, really sad young woman. She'd gone through so much in her life. Janis had a dark side, Janis had a light side, and I wanted the light side.
It ain't fair, honey, it ain't fair. What do you do? I said, honey, what you doing?
The thing about Johnny, as we all know, he was a very troubled guy. This was backstage before his performance, and that night, whatever was going on in his head, and he communicated with that look in his eyes. He either distant or uncomfortable or empty. I don't know.
I walk the line.
There's something about that picture that's so intense and so compelling, I think. I love that photo.
The reality is that these days, you wouldn't get the access or the entree to take these kind of photos, would you?
No, and it's really sad. I mean, the only way to get photos like this, really, is to have freedom to move around, to have access.
At 74, Baron Wolman sees his new book as a record of a magical era. Not just the photographs, but the stories behind them.
I mean, I'm the beneficiary of the love of music, and in particular, classic rock. Kids are listening to it, multi-generations, listening to the same music that I photographed. You know, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I'm blessed. I think, who do I thank for all of this? You know, I keep trying to, are there some photo gods up there that I can thank?
And if you're racking your brains trying to think who the other famous Rolling Stone photographer is, you're probably thinking of the legendary Annie Leibovitz. Tracy Bowden reporting.